Hi everyone, and welcome to Nursing 790. This particular course really starts to pay close attention to your Chapter 1. So let's go ahead and dive right into the course and the expectations of this course and some important deadlines. So you're accessing this video through the Announcements tab, and if there are announcements that I need to make as a class, I will access the announcements, post my announcement, and this will automatically send you an email that an announcement had been posted. So make sure you're checking your emails. This is a very independently run course, so I would expect a lot of the communication actually happen by telephone or by email or by Zoom between myself and you. So it's a little bit different in all the other courses you've had so far in your journey here in the DNP program. Like I said, it's really kind of one-on-one between me, your mentor, as well as your second reader and your preceptor in particular. So for this course, let's just go ahead and hit the faculty tab because you will have several people to contact. So Dr. Ranagarvi obviously is the program director. You might have another person listed here as your second reader, and then of course my contact information is here. So it's my email address and my phone number. My phone number is linked to my cell phone. So if you need to get a hold of me and it's after hours or it's on a weekend, for example, you can call this number actually, and it will go right to my cell phone. I do have my email to chime on my phone, so when you send me an email, I do get notification of that. So either way works really well as far as getting in touch with me. So these are all of the faculty members of the DNP program, as well as our wonderful Carol, who is our advisor. So if you need to get a hold of anyone for any reason, maybe even outside of this course, all of their contact information is here. Okay, so when you go into the Start Here tab, there is the syllabus listed here. There's the timeline, so you can read up on that. So for the first week in 790, you're going to design a contract to complete your items for this course. So you're going to complete 150 practicum hours for 790. You will complete the paperwork associated with your committee selection and chair selection. So the chair is me, and then your committee selection is your second reader as well as your preceptor. And then you're going to have a finished product of Chapter 1. And then you will also have a presentation that you're going to be giving with myself, your mentor, your second reader, and your preceptor. So you will presenting to the three of us your scholarly project, basically looking at Chapter 1, and then kind of moving forward with the underpinnings for the second chapter, okay, for moving on to the IRB process, which we will be doing this summer. So really what this is your advanced scholarly project overview presentation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's usually what it consists of. It's about an hour long. Map out an hour. We can do this through Zoom if you have people who are kind of all over. We can do this face to face. Most students will put together like a PowerPoint presentation. They'll talk about their project. They'll answer any questions. It's a very it's an opportunity for you to kind of present to all of us at once what you're going to be doing and the vision that you have. The DNP Advanced Nursing Guidelines are included here. There are two rubrics that we're using for this course. So the first rubric is the Advanced Scholarly Project Chapter 1 rubric. So when you are putting the finishing touches of your Chapter 1, make sure you look at that rubric, because that's the rubric that I will be using to grade your Chapter 1. The second rubric that we will be using is your Advanced Scholarly Project Overview presentation. So when you're thinking, well, what exactly is she looking for during my presentation, you can access that information through the rubric. So the presentation obviously comes after your Chapter 1. So how this works is you're going to give me your Chapter 1 when you think you've got a finished project. I review it, I make recommendations, you make those changes, and then you're going to submit that. You're going to give that chapter 1 to your second reader as well as your preceptor. They will have a chance to read it, give you any feedback, have a one-on-one conversation with you if needed. And then once you get all of that feedback and you've completed everything, then you're going to schedule your presentation. So the presentation comes after you finalized your chapter 1. And it comes usually towards the end of this course, but I would prefer not to make it like the last week of course. It gets really complicated, and so be thinking about really getting that chapter 1 solid to submit to me, and we'll talk about it. We'll address any concerns or issues. We get that out to your committee. They review it. They give you feedback. You address all the feedback. You send it back to me with a polished product. And then we establish a time when you can present to all 3 of us. And again, we can do that through Zoom. We can do that through face-to-face. So if you guys aren't too far away, I can certainly come to you as long as we can orchestrate it with the others. And, there's lots of opportunities, lots of different things that we can do with that. So when you go up to the forum then, you're going to notice that there are 2 discussion board questions. So the first one, I would like for you to list your answer by February 13th. And this is a different kind of discussion board. You're used to probably weekly discussion boards where you post like an initial post and then you do response post. So for this, really all you need to do is post your initial post. I read it. If there is something that I need to address within that, I will post a response in there. Same thing goes with the student learning outcome number 3 with this forum. Again, I would like for you to have this posted by March 4th. And just answer the question. If there are, if it opens up the opportunity for us to have a discussion, then we'll have a discussion on the discussion board. If it basically is something that you and I talk about personally, either through a phone conversation or through a Zoom, there's really no sense in me posting anything if we've discussed it face-to-face. All right, so this is sort of the opening up that discussion, and then we can talk about it either through the discussion board if you want to communicate that way, or we can communicate by phone. But just go ahead and post responses to these so that way I can give you credit for it. So the first one is due February 13th. And the second one is due March 4th. So make sure you're reading this way in advance. So like today, go ahead and read the questions so that way you can plan ahead on what it is that you need to post into this discussion board forum. So next are the leadership modules. Now some of these modules don't have anything in them. So if you click on this one, the outcome number 1, it actually does have some things. And these are very important parts of Nursing 790. So we have the DNP practicum document, then we have the drop boxes for your final paper practicum site, all right? So you can click on that document to see what that's all about. The practicum evaluation, you can click on that document, and then the DNP practicum hours spreadsheet. So this is obviously where you're going to be keeping tabs of the hours that you are completing in 790. So make sure that you read the instructions on that. If you go back to the leadership modules, let's go into learning outcome number 2. Okay, when you click on it, there's actually nothing there. Okay, the reason that we have them broken up is because if there's some content in there that I need to embed, I will do that. But if you notice, each one of them has a certain instruction to complete during this outcome. So with Student Learning Outcome 1, you analyze the role of the doctorally prepared nurse leader in developing evidence-based nursing knowledge and practice guidelines. In that are those documents that you will need to submit, and they have those assignment tabs. So when you complete those documents, you will submit those through the assignment tab. So in Student Learning Outcome 2, it says select an appropriate topic for the Advanced Nursing Project. All of you have done this so far, so you can just kind of check that right off your list, right? And then student learning outcome 3, critique selected research articles from peer-reviewed nursing and allied health journals. Again, you've pretty much done that with your literature review. Student learning outcome 4, continue to develop an in-depth literature review on selected nursing problem. So we will continue to build. So when we had 720 and we had basically that groundwork of orchestrating our chapter 1, we're still continuing to gather resources, and maybe along the lines of, if you were doing some research over the break, you may have said, oh, I think I'd really like to go down this avenue too. We can certainly have this opportunity to incorporate that. And then student learning outcome number 5 is develop a draft proposal for the advanced nursing project on the selected nursing problem. All right, so that's your chapter 1. And then student learning outcome number 6, select your committee chair and committee members. This should actually really be done at the very, very beginning. So you should already have your chair, and then you should probably already have your preceptor and your second committee member. So if you've got that, right here, we're pretty much finished. So there's a drop box, there's a form here for that, and a drop box, okay? So it would behoove you just to kind of look throughout each one of the modules, see if there's a form attached, and if so, go ahead and complete the work, upload it into the Dropbox. So we have 6 and 5. We know number 1 has content, 4 has content. This is that ECS PI, 5 criteria for executing successful DNP. The final project, so you'll want to read that. That's an important component when you do your presentation, because you're going to want to incorporate that ECS PI framework. And then we have the digital Dropbox for the chapter 1. So again, we have the guidelines, and then the rubric for chapter 1. Okay, and then when you go up to student learning outcome 3. Again, we don't have any content, okay? This is one of those things that, learning outcomes 2 and 3 have no content, but 1, 4, 5, and 6 do. So make sure that when you go in here that you click on those. If I have things to add in the second or the third one, of course, I will send you an announcement about adding anything. Typically, it isn't. It's just a reminder that this is where you kind of really need to be focusing with your chapter 1. So if you go into my grades, every time you submit an assignment, you will get a yellow circle with an exclamation point. That means that you've successfully submitted the assignment. So anytime you submit anything, go ahead into my grades and check on that. Give it a minute or so for it to upload into the system. It's just really good practice to do that, because sometimes Blackboard gets a little fussy and it doesn't want to accept assignments. And then students will say, but I did submit it. I don't know where it went. Go ahead, and once you submit an assignment, just get in the habit of waiting about a minute or so and then going into your My Grades and making sure that you see that yellow circle with the exclamation point icon. That indicates that you've successfully submitted that assignment. So I hope this overview helps. Again, this is a very individualized course. There aren't any weekly things that you need to be doing. It's more or less just really working individually. I do encourage you to work weekly so you don't get far behind. That's very easy to do, but this is all about that time management component. It's kind of like that self-study component, and I'm basically here to assist you in any way that I can. So feel free to email me, give me a call, we can Zoom, we can meet up, and I look forward to a great semester with all of you. Thank you.